Good morning, everyone. The Delaware County Commissioner meeting for July 9th, 2018 is now in session. Would you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good morning. To my right is Vice President Commissioner Lewis, and to my left is fellow Commissioner Jeff Benton. Our clerk today is Jennifer Walraven, and our County Administrator, Mike Palmer. With that, let's begin.
Resolution number 18-753, in the matter of approving the electronic record of proceedings from regular meeting held July 2nd, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-753. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
We do not have any public comment or elected official comment today, so that brings us to item number 4, resolution number 18-754, in the matter of approving purchase orders and now certificates and payments of warrants in batch number CM APR 0706.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-754. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-755, in the matter of approving travel expense requests.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-755. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-756, in the matter of proclaiming the week of July 16th through 20th, 2018 as National Disability Voter Registration Week.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is somebody here want to speak on this topic? I thought that might be the case. You just want to come up here and introduce yourself and
Hi, I'm George Needham. I'm the director of the Delaware County District Library, and we're delighted to be part of this group that's behind this resolution. We are going to have volunteers who will be at the library to help register people to vote during this week, specifically because we are handicapped accessible in all of our buildings, and we really, while we register voters all year, this is a really good opportunity to focus on voters with disabilities. So I'll turn it over.
Ann Miller with the Delaware County Board of Developmental Disabilities. This is our second year partnering with the library, and we're really looking forward to this week of educating and voter registration. It's just one more step forward to getting important issues passed for people with disabilities, so we're looking forward to it.
are you bashful?
Hi, Hannah with the Delaware County District Library, Communications. We are looking forward to upping the level of voter registration throughout Delaware County for people of all abilities.
Thank you. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but
By all means, sometimes I need a nudge.
I apologize for that. Any comments from the board?
Anything special that you do this week? As far as at the library when people come in?
Yes, next week we'll be having tables at all of our branches from 4 to 6 in the afternoon with a voting machine with demonstrations on how to acclimate people who aren't familiar with the machines of the process, and also getting them registered and giving them some more information on different candidates and events that are coming up for the.
So the Board of Elections has set up a machine for you?
Yes, they are lending us machines.
Oh, that's great. And you say it's next week?
Yes, the 16th through the 20th.
Is this the first year to do this, or has it been done in previous
This is our
years?
second year.
Second year.
Oh, okay.
It's our first year where we've had the machines for people to simulate what it's like and kind of remove those anxieties about what voting's like, and so that'll be new this year.
Well, that's a great public service. Thank you.
Any other comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-756. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We do have a proclamation. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Resolution number 18-757, in the matter of approving a delinquent debt collection agreement between the Ohio Attorney General, the Board of Commissioners of Delaware County, and the Clerk of Courts of Delaware County, Ohio.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion?
Good morning. Natalie Fravel, Delaware County Clerk of Courts. I'm here with Christopher Betts, Assistant Prosecuting Attorney. We're here today to present a contract with the Attorney General's Office for our delinquent debt collection. This kind of piggybacks with the agreement that you all approved last week for outside counsel. And we're utilizing this service now in an effort to increase our collections effort on our delinquent court costs and fees.
What are the percentage of delinquency at any given time? Or people,
Percentages?
do you have an idea? Or-
I don't have a percentage. We have approximately $386,000 on the books that is delinquent. And that spans decades, because our court costs, our delinquent court costs and fees, it never goes away. It's not something that we're able to ever write off. So some of the delinquent debt is decades old. So we're hoping that this is a more effective way to collect some of the back debt.
Any questions? or comments?
I just wanted to comment, I support this, I think this is a good idea, to use, to leverage their expertise, but I guess the one point I would like to make is that when the Attorney General uses outside collectors or outside attorneys to collect these debts, what they do, the outside attorneys or collectors add their fees on top of whatever the debt is owed, and then collect it from that. So the debtor ends up paying more than they would if we had contracted directly with a collection agency, typically. So anyway, it's a good idea, I think, again, to get out of the collection business. It's not our expertise, but it is not. There are additional costs that are passed on to the debtors that are collected from those outside third parties, if the Attorney General uses an outside third party.
We're hoping that they'll be effective in collecting, the debt in-house. Then if they choose to forward that on to any outside help, they would contact us first, and then we would decide,
Because, the concern I have is they can turn a $200 debt that the debtor owes into a $1,000 debt by adding on the attorney's fees and the collection costs and so on, the permissible, the fees that they're allowed to add on.
There may be a legal question in this, I don't have any idea, but whether you can do that with court fees, I have no clue, so.
Oh, no, it's legal. I don't think there's any doubt about
Okay.
that. But it just,
I see it.
Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Christopher Betts. I'm kind of following up the main act here, but at any event, as Clerk Fravel said, last time we were here, just to clarify, we had requested the board approve an application for outside counsel to hire the Attorney General through this contract to do these collections. Obviously, as you pointed out, Commissioner Benton, it is a percentage over and above what the actual debt is. That speaks to paying your debts timely. There is a penalty for not doing that. But at this point, the penalty would be shifted from the taxpayers in Delaware County to those that are responsible for paying that debt. Whereas under the current situation, it was a percentage that the county was paying. Under this new scenario, with the Attorney General, it would be something that the debtors are actually paying. And this is something that I understand from Clerk Fravel has been used by a number of clerks throughout the state, as well as other elected officials. And it's been beneficial for those offices in terms of collection. And they, according to Clerk Fravel, have had nothing but positive things to say about their relationship with the Attorney General, and we hope for the same.
yeah, again, I support it. I think it's a good idea. But again, I just want to point out that the debtor does end up paying significant, in some cases, not the majority even, probably a small minority, they do end up paying significantly more than what they
We definitely point out a reality of it.
Yeah.
And all this is after we've made a reasonable effort to collect it locally, correct?
Yes, we don't even forward it to the AG's office or, our current vendor now until it's past 90 days. So we do, we send out a 30-day notice or a final notice, and then a 30-day, 60-day, and 90-day. And if there's no response after 90-day, then it goes to collections.
Any other questions or comments? Vote?
Vote on motion 18-757. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 18-758, in the matter of approving a supplemental appropriation for Job and Family Services.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion.
Good morning. Angela Thomas, Interim Director of Job and Family Services. We have before you today a request for a supplemental appropriation for placement costs in children's services. This is to address increased placement costs that were not anticipated at the time the budget was prepared. And I also have with me this morning Sandy Honingford with the department. She's Assistant Director over Children's Services, and we would be happy to address any questions or concerns you may have.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I had a question. I talked to Stephen on Wednesday and last Wednesday and just had a follow-up questions to the schedule that he sent us. And, you know, we've spent $500,000 through May, which is about $100,000 a month. So you would think it would be about $1.2 million, and yet we're asking for $1,469,000, almost $270,000 more than, you know, the run rate that we're experiencing, and almost twice as much as we spent last year. And I asked for some clarification on exactly why and hadn't received that. So I at this point, I can't support, you know, without further explanation, I can't support an increase of this magnitude without further detail.
Sure, come on up. Yeah, you're right, we had spent $500,000, and that was, I think, as of May, I believe.
Right, May 31st.
Which would have probably included most of our April placements. But the projections that we had done based on current kids that were currently in custody showed that we were going to have a shortfall this year of about $370,000 just for those current placements. Now, over the course of the year, some of these kids will go home, but again, we'll have new kids come into placement. We're asking the $330,000 to be appropriated because those were funds that were unappropriated. That would not require us to ask for additional county general revenue funds at this point, just to appropriate dollars that were sitting there unappropriated. But Sandy, you have something to add?
I can just give you a brief summary of why the placement costs are going up in regards to specifically the children and the work that we do in Children's Services. When the year started, we had approximately 32 children. I'm kind of guessing that off the top of my head. We currently, as of today, have 41 children in custody. It's gone up over the last couple months, anywhere from 40 to 44 at any given time. There was a week in March, we removed 10 children in 1 week.
Get close to the mic, make sure you're heard.
Oh, I'm sorry. We removed 10 children in 1 week in March. That was a sibling group of 5, a sibling group of 4, and we received custody from juvenile court of a delinquent youth. Our residential costs have skyrocketed. They are anywhere, we have 9 children in residential placement, and they are anywhere from $275 a day to one who is $428 a day. So those are taking a huge drain on our budget. In addition, the sibling groups, since we took the sibling group of 4 and the sibling group of 5, we have also removed a sibling group of 4. All of those were opiate-related, task force-related drug busts where we had to place the children. An upside is we are finding a tremendous amount of relatives, grandparents, aunts, uncles, great aunts, great uncles that have stepped forward and taken quite a few of our children. So only having 41 in custody at this time is actually, it sounds high, but it's really a great feat because we're working.
41 without those grandparents and relatives? Or
No, those are in custody of the county. We probably have about 87 children through court orders that we're working
So
with.
if a relative takes them, they're not theoretically in custody of the county?
Right. We have what we call protective supervision. So we have court orders. We do assist them with the daycare if they need daycare, if the children need clothing, things like that. We hook them up with resources. But the ones that actually belong to the county is 41. So it's a combination of the opiates and the epidemic that's kind of unraveling parts of our society. And then we're getting a tremendous amount of children coming to us through the court, multi-system kids that are not necessarily Children's Services children, but there isn't money in the other systems. And so if a court deems them dependent because of those needs, they then become our responsibility. So I don't know if that helps.
Is the money actually coming from our general revenue fund, or is it federal money, Angela, at least in part?
About half of the kids that we currently have in placement are eligible for federal reimbursement. The other half are not. So those kids will require 100% county funds unless we receive a little bit of child support or Social Security for those kids. So yes, about half of the kids will require county funds. The other half, we get some federal reimbursement for them.
This is an instance in which, remember, we are in a federal lawsuit, and one of the, we're, along with many other counties and municipalities, the suit is being heard in Cleveland right now, and one of the things that the judge is going to be asking us to do as part of this suit is to make certain that all of our costs are given to the judge so we can get potential recovery. And that's what I was going to ask about the opioid. This is a lawsuit then to recover some of our costs that we have incurred. And certainly you see this on a daily basis, and it stems throughout the county and affects our budget in many ways. So we'll have to make sure that we add this to the costs that we have incurred.
These aren't all opioids, though. There's some are, but what percentage, I have no clue, and you may not know off the top of your head.
Right. Of the children in residential, I would say probably 90% of those are not related to the opiate epidemic. They're mental health issues, disability issues. They're multi-system kids. The children that are placed in foster homes, group homes, the other 32 children, I would say probably 70% of those are some kind of substance abuse, most likely opiates or meth. There's some alcohol in there, and then of course we have the group of children, unfortunately, that are also abused and neglected. So, but the majority of the children that we're seeing, the small ones in particular, the little ones, are opiate related.
No, again, I asked for some information, some reasonable explanation of dollars, why the costs are almost doubling from last year, and I just haven't received that. I've heard the general explanations, but, again, the numbers haven't been explained to me, and this is a huge increase in
A residential treatment, just to kind of put in perspective if you're not familiar with that, the children that go into residential treatment can be anywhere from 6 months to 9 months. We have a couple that have been there for over a year. So if you compound that at, $325 a day, that creeps up very quickly.
But that kind of gets to my question. I haven't seen any numbers that support how many we have and how much they're costing versus last year. Why we're spending $100,000 year to date a month, and now we're asking for another 300 and some thousand on top of that. Again, it's just some basic analysis that I'm asking for that I haven't seen, because this is a big increase that we're asking for.
There is a report on that, actually.
Yeah, and I believe also there was an email that had numbers in it. I mean, if you compared, I don't recall exactly what those numbers were. I think maybe last year there were like 70-some kids, and as of this point in time this year, I think we've had 50-some kids, and we're only halfway through the year. So, and like I said, kids will continue to come into our care as well as go home throughout the year. So the numbers are definitely up.
Yeah, but last year we spent $738,000. Now you're proposing to spend $1,469,000. And the number of kids hasn't come anywhere close to doubling. So again, that's what I'm after, is just some basic analysis that explains, why the need for 300 and some thousand more than what was budgeted, which was significantly higher than what last year was. So,
Angela, I had asked, we met 10 days ago, to get with our juvenile judge and have a conversation with him. There was some question about the magistrates. Do they understand the options they have, and are they giving you the flexibility, you being JFS, the flexibility to make good decisions on behalf of the children, but also a good decision on behalf of the county fiscally? I'm guessing you probably have not had time to do that yet, because I think you were maybe gone last week as well.
Actually, and Sandy can also address this, that meeting did take place with the Family and Children's First Executive Council. What about May timeframe?
I believe it was the end of May. We did meet with Judge Hemanowski.
When I asked that question, you didn't indicate that.
Right, I didn't get back with you, I'm sorry, I apologize for that, but that meeting has occurred. I just wasn't involved in that meeting, so I didn't know the specifics of it. Sandy could probably share that with you.
That meeting occurred at the end of May. I'm sorry. That meeting occurred at the end of May. We did have a discussion with Judge Hemanowski about the court and the placement options, and we did have a discussion. Some of the magistrates have ordered, they will directly order residential treatment. They don't give us the option, and so we then have to find residential treatment for the children. So those discussions have began. I cannot speak as to where that has gone with Judge Himanowski and his court. There's not been a follow-up meeting to that.
Well, the purpose of the meeting was to get some clarity and some, I'll say finality for lack of a better word, hopefully giving JFS the options to be more involved in that process than had been the case, and I do think that's adding to the cost, correct?
Yes.
So I guess having a meeting is different than having a resolution to have some level of reassurance that we're going to work closer together on that issue. So if we haven't gotten there, then I guess the purpose of me asking you to get together really hasn't been resolved. That make sense?
Yes, yes. The meeting has taken place. Like I said, I'm not sure. I have not followed up with Judge Himanowski. I do not know if
It
anyone
occurred
on
back
the
in
board did.
May.
End of May.
Okay, end of May, so that's over 30 days.
I have seen in the courtrooms, I do attend the courtrooms on some of the high-dollar children, and I have seen a great willingness by the magistrates to listen to the department, to listen to our recommendations and suggestions. But the ultimate decision that comes out of that belongs to the court.
But if the magistrates are understanding of the flexibility they have and they can provide to you, that doesn't seem to be an unreasonable request. And I understand they have the final say, but if they would verbalize that, yes, we will work better with JFS, that would be reassuring, at least to this
Yes.
commissioner. And I don't think that's taken place. And when I met 10 days ago, I was led to believe there had never been a meeting. So now learning there had been a meeting in May, but really just more, sounds like more of an informational meeting than a,
Yes, I think it was to begin the dialogue on what we can do better, how we can work better as the court and the children's services to meet the best needs of the children, but also being fiscally responsible with the
well,
county's
if I
money.
support this today, will I get a reassurance that
We'll follow up.
be more than just an informational meeting? I'm sure any of these commissioners would love to be able to sit down and add to the conversation if necessary. Preferably, I would like to think JFS and
Yes,
juvenile could handle it. Does that make sense?
yes, absolutely.
So I'm big on dates. When would you get back with some clarity on this issue?
I can reach out to the judge today.
And when will you get back to the commissioners, or by end of the month? Middle of the month?
Maybe this week. I guess it'll just depend on when I can get the meeting set up.
I'm not sure you've addressed Commissioner Ben's concerns.
I am concerned about the timeliness of this. This has been on the agenda before.
We
Is
are
there-
in a position where we do not have funds to appropriate for new contracts.
And again, I say I'll support today with the reassurance that we'll do more than just have an informational meeting with the juvenile judge. You
And
know,
I will support it. We've got to go ahead. We have to take care of this now.
And you want to be involved in that meeting, is that correct?
I just want the reassurance that everybody's on the same page and there's an
Okay.
understanding of how they handicap you when they don't give you options to consider. And that's what I took out of the meeting we had 10 days ago. Is that still the case? Okay? I was led to believe by you and Steve that by not giving you flexibility, when I say you, JFS, they put restraints on your ability to be fiscally responsible if you can find equal alternatives. Is that still the case?
Yes. And like I said, I'll reach out to the judge this week
Okay.
and see if we can get a meeting set up.
And to all those parents out there who do not understand their responsibility to these kids, shame on you. It's disappointing that we have people who do not understand and appreciate the responsibility they have as parents. I'm sure someone will find fault with that statement, but shame on them. Any other questions or comments?
No.
Vote?
Vote on motion 18-758, Mr. Benton.
Again, I just asked for some basic financial analysis on why the $330,000 increase is necessary and have not received that to date, despite asking several times. So I unfortunately have to vote no, because I don't doubt that there's a need, but $330,000 without any documentation is something I can't support, so I vote no.
Mr. Merrill?
I'm voting yes, and I'll also comment. I have some things that I think we need to find out and get clarity on, but out of concern for the children involved, I will vote yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 18-759, in the matter of approving a transfer of appropriation for permanent improvement projects.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion?
Good morning, John Melvin, Director of Facilities. In our 2018 permanent improvement budget, we had budgeted to replace the roofs at 3 EMS stations and upgrading those roofs to a standing seam metal roof. When they bid it out, we had budgeted $110,000 each. When they bid them out, they came in at over $200,000 each. So needless to say, we're not proceeding with those projects. We're looking at replacing them with the standard asphalt shingle roof. And to do that, we need to transfer the appropriations from the 5400 object code to 53 and 5200 object code, as well as we'll be able to take care of some other lesser projects on our maintenance list, taking care of some asphalt repairs at EMS stations, all which fall underneath that $25,000 project cost, which would put it into the $5,400 object code. So, quick summary of this transfer.
Questions or comments? Vote?
Vote on motion 18-759. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thanks, John.
Resolution number 18-760, in the matter of authorizing the Economic Development Director to enter into non-disclosure agreements on behalf of Delaware County.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Benton, seconded by Commissioner Lewis. Discussion?
Bob Lamb, Economic Development Director. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today, Commissioners. Before you is a request to authorize myself as the Economic Development Director to be able to enter into non-disclosure agreements for economic development purposes. This really lays out a process for us to be able to follow that we currently don't have in place. This will allow me to be able to sign the non-disclosure agreements, and upon signing them, provide the copies of those agreements to the county commissioners and the county administrator, so that you are aware of what are projects going on with the non-disclosure agreement, but that you are not receiving the materials that would fall under that non-disclosure agreement, such as financial information. We're having a lot more of these requests given how the financing structure for a lot of these projects has altered, especially within some of the new enterprise zones that have been, I'm sorry, not enterprise zones, special improvement districts that have been established lately throughout the county. We're seeing it out in the Berkshire area, as well as expected to see some throughout Orange Township, and I have heard from one of the law firms that there are 2 or 3 pending in Liberty Township as well. So this will just help us speed up that process while keeping you informed, though, of what's going on. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Yeah, what have we done in the past, Bob?
In the past, they've come forward to the board for approval for signing. And then also, I believe the most recent one that I'm aware of was associated with a technology-oriented project that was looking in Orange Township. There was some concern created from that non-disclosure process about limiting commissioners and others from being able to play an active role in trying to support the project. This type of an arrangement would leave the commissioners free to take action and would only bind myself.
That is, it's really important that we correct this, because what you're saying is so true. We couldn't do anything, and therefore, it certainly contributed to the loss of this technology business.
Well, what, you talking about Amazon? Well, I'll just call it what it is. Sandstone is a term. What, my understanding, just so we're all on the same page, that agreement bound the commissioners to not being able to even be aware of the project, and that's not what we're talking about here.
Correct. I would sign the NDA form and then have to submit those forms to both the county administrator and the county commissioner, so you would be aware that I was under an NDA for a specific project. Now, every NDA's terms are somewhat different, but I would make sure by talking to the commissioners and the administrator that you had any information that would be required to help make sure the project can move forward while still honoring the terms of that NDA that I signed.
This relates to financial. In that case, Amazon, calling it what it is, we were not even given the name of the company that was considering coming to our county, which I believe contributed to us not getting Amazon here, because the commissioners were put in a position where we could not fulfill our role in trying to affect that occurrence.
Encourage them to,
Yeah.
yes,
And
encourage them to come here.
when we were
That's true.
approached, theoretically, we didn't even know who it was, and we didn't for the
Right,
longest.
Right.
And I don't think that was a healthy thing for the county, and I do not want to ever be part of one of those again. And that's not what we're talking about, correct?
Correct. That was a very specific agreement with specific terms in there. This is a general framework to allow myself to be able to sign these. I'm telling you, I'll make sure that if I do go forward with signing, there is an ability to let you know enough about the project that if needed, you can weigh in to help secure it. And if unable to secure that type, I would then have more conversations with the commissioners before signing that form, as well as the county
You'll
administrator.
have conversations with Mike, or administrator.
With our
Yes.
Who will then
administrator.
coordinate with us,
Absolutely.
okay? You agree? Any other questions?
Yeah, no, I think this makes a lot of sense. What do other jurisdictions typically do in this?
There are a multitude of different approaches different jurisdictions take. Some don't do any non-disclosure agreements whatsoever because they don't feel that it's their role. Others take a much more open approach to non-disclosure agreements, so it's really up to the elected officials and the policy that they want to put in place. We do have a history of doing non-disclosure agreements, however, it's created issues in the past, and so having sent several over to Eric for review in the last few months, this was his idea of how we could maybe balance the need for non-disclosure agreements while I think still addressing some of the concerns that had been raised in the past.
I think it makes sense. Anything structurally that we can do to help us help the process and attract the businesses we want to attract, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Any other questions or comments? Vote?
Vote on motion 18-760. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill? Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 18-761, in the matter of approving the owner's agreement for Scioto Ridge Crossing, Section 3.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion?
Good morning, Commissioners. Rob Riley, Chief Deputy Engineer. Nothing I have for you today is very exciting, so bear with me.
Put us to sleep. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty routine business. This is the first item is a standard agreement for development of street and stormwater infrastructure for Scioto Ridge Crossing. This is a 32-lot subdivision being developed by MI Homes off of Clark Shaw Road, and recommending your approval.
Any questions or comments? After you say it wasn't exciting, it's hard to comment, isn't it? Well,
Vote on motion 18-761. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-762, in the matter of awarding a bid for 2018 drainage maintenance annual contract, Delaware County.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion?
As you recall, we went out to bid for what I'll call some routine drainage maintenance services, and we received 2 bids for this work. We are recommending that award of bids to both vendors, basically a non-exclusive multiple awards, so that we can first go to the lowest bidder. Because we don't necessarily know when or how much work we'll be doing in advance, this is kind of an on-call type of contract. We would first go to the lowest bidder. If for any reason they can't perform that work in the time frame we need, we would then go to the next bidder to see if they can do that. But for the most part, we've had good experience with both of these vendors, so I feel pretty good that we'll be able to get the work done that we need to. And this is primarily, I'll call it agricultural drainage maintenance services, such as ditch cleaning and that sort of thing, not necessarily the subdivision type of drainage maintenance.
Questions or comments? Vote?
Vote on motion 18-762. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-763, in the matter of approving the plat of subdivision for North Farm Section 5 and North Farm Section 7 Phase B.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion?
We have 32 lots here being developed by Rockford Homes. This has been through all the required county approvals and recommending your approval.
Questions or comments? Vote?
Vote on motion 18-763. Mr. Merrill? Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-764, in the matter of establishing maintenance bonds for Brookview Manor, Section 2, Four Winds Drive and Summit Drive, Sections 1 and 2, The Glade at Highland Lake, Section 2, Nelson Farm, Section 2, Phase C, Part 1A, and Liberty Trace, Section 2, Phase B, and approving returning amended construction securities.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion.
As you can see, it's been a busy construction year for subdivisions. These 5 subdivisions have been completed either recently or sometime this past spring. This action would place the subdivisions on the required 1-year developer maintenance period and return the construction sureties as applicable for each subdivision.
Questions or comments? Vote?
Vote on motion 18-764. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-765, in the matter of approving an agreement to apply master utility agreement with Delco Water Company to Liberty Road improvements and accepting easements from Delco Water Company for Liberty Road.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion.
So this agreement involves a master utility relocation agreement we developed several years ago. I don't recall exactly when. Basically, the provisions of that agreement say that when Delco Water has a existing water line in a private easement, say just outside our existing right-of-way, if we take new right-of-way or buy new right-of-way that goes over top of their easement, basically what we're agreeing to is that we'll pay to relocate their line, and then they can relocate within that new right-of-way, but we are subject to costs for any future relocations. And in doing that, we don't have to buy them a new easement, which in many cases would be extremely costly to not only buy additional right-of-way, but then buy additional easement out beyond that. So long story short, we have a subdivision, Nelson Farms. It will involve a new access to Liberty Road requiring a turn lane. The developer has been working with Delco Water to get the additional right-of-way to build that turn lane. There is there is water line infrastructure owned by Delco within that area where the new right-of-way will be dedicated, and so this simply applies that agreement to that area, just as we would for any county-initiated project.
Questions or comments? Vote?
Vote on motion 18-765. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Thank you.
Brings us to administrator reports.
Good morning, Commissioners. Couple things. I wanted to share some new news, and I'm actually going to ask a couple people in the audience to kind of share the news. So first, I wanted Bob to jump up, and we've expanded our economic development department recently, and we have. I like they're all here today. We've doubled in size in the last 2 or 3 months. So, but anyway, Bob, if you want to.
No, thank you, Bob Lamb, Economic Development Director. Here today is the Economic Development team, including our newest addition, Economic Development Administrator Rob Platt. So we're very happy to have him on board, and why don't you step up and give.
Good morning, Commissioners. What do you want me to say? I'm very happy to be here, Rob Platt, and looking forward to serving the residents of Delaware County.
We're very happy to have you
Yeah,
here.
happy to have you on board.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
There's a lot going on. We'll keep you busy right
Absolutely.
away.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, it's great.
Great, thank you.
This is Rob's second day here, so he did come back after his first. We're very happy about that fact.
good
And then,
sign.
Jenna, you want to introduce the intern?
I think you just put it on the spot.
Yeah.
This is Nick Adams. He's our intern from Ohio Wesleyan University this summer, and he's with us till about the middle of August. So, yep.
What is Nick studying again?
Economics, right?
Economics,
Yep. Mhm.
great.
Yes. He has a history minor, so he's been very excited about the courthouse renovations and all that stuff, too. So, yep.
Thank you.
It's been great to have Nick on board this summer. He's really helped us with some projects, as well as been engaged heavily on the business retention side of things. So it's really worked out well for us having this intern program. Thank you.
The next thing, that's just one. We had a big change over the weekend. If you logged onto our website, It has a totally different look. I would call this Jane's labor of love for the last couple months, so
Maybe you
Yeah.
can call it that, but I don't know.
more labor than love, maybe, but
Jane Hawes, Director of Communications, here to officially announce the launch of the new redesigned website, and thank you for your support. It has been a 10-month process. Ron Clayton couldn't be with us this morning because he is bogged down in many little tweaks and fixes that he's working on. I had asked him if he could pop down, but as soon as we got in this morning, I think, and right now you can see there are a lot of people on the website checking it out. We're finding, little things that we have to tweak. So, but I did want to enter into the record. There were a lot of people who helped with this project, and what made it so unusual is that out of the 32 different individual departments, offices, and agencies that contribute to the county's organization, 31 of them agreed to be a part of this project. The only one that didn't was domestic relations, and that's because their site was only about a year old to begin with. So I don't think they felt it would be a good use of their resources to switch again. So, but the other 31, we had a lot of people who have no background whatsoever in website design or programming, and they really stepped up to the plate and got involved with this project with the designing, but now also maintaining what's going to be the content that will be on the website. So I just wanted to get those names out there. From Adult Court Services, Joe Perry and Matt Proto. From Board of Elections, Anthony Sadie, Kathy Martis, Jeff Cramlett, and Carla Herron. From Child Support, Joyce Bowens. And from Clerk of Courts, Natalie Fravel and Jennifer Tubog. From Code Compliance, Fred Fowler, Ed Spears, and Wendy Fox. From our own office with the commissioners, Sarah DeNovo, Jen Walraven, and Sherry Fridley. They all are now fully certified in updating content, and editors on the site adding, in Jen's case, she's adding the calendar session and the agenda every time. Sarah's adding the journals. So all that is right there for people. In the Court of Common Pleas General Division, Kristen Schultz, Carla Dacta, Gail Davis, and Johnine Marstiller. From the Coroner's Office, Jack Sudamek. From the Dog Shelter, Brian Gallagher. From Economic Development, Jenna Jackson. And you'll see that section especially is entirely revamped. It's very, very business user-friendly now. So I would encourage you to check it out. From the Emergency Management Agency, Sandy Mackey and Sean Miller. From our 911 Center, Patrick Brandt and Matt Fletcher. From EMS, Aaron Jennings. The Engineer's Office, Rob Riley, Luke Scharf, and Clint Maddock. From Human Resources, Don Houston and Brad Ewens. From JFS, Stephen Sikora. From the Law Library, Julie Jones. From Probate and Juvenile Courts, Dave Hemanowski, Katie Stenman, and Karen Watkins. From the Prosecutor's Office, Nicole Ford and Julie Datko. From the Recorder's Office, Melissa Jordan. The Record Center, Chris Shaw. From Regional Planning, Scott Sanders and Daiwei Liu. From Regional Sewer, Mason Janzak. From the Sheriff's Office, Tracy Whited. Soil and Water Conservation District, Bonnie Daly, Donna Ray, Rebecca Longsmith, Scott Stevens, and Susan Cuba. And from the Treasurer's Office, John Peterson, and finally from the Veterans Service Commission, Ray Cordero and Don DiCiazzo. So thank you to all of them. We could not have done this without them. So thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Jane, so
yeah.
much. I can't wait to see it.
The just only comment I have is I have been critical of our website. 6 years is probably a little long. I've been here a little over 6, but certainly the last 4 or 5 years. And it was extremely user-friendly, in my opinion. And I have not had an opportunity to get on there. I'm looking forward to getting on there. And it should not be an ordeal to get on there and find out where you want to go to. And it was not the most user-friendly, to use the term I've already used. So appreciate the effort. Look forward to getting on the site for myself. I've not
Thank
done
you. Well, the vendor we worked with, Buckeye Interactive out of New Albany, they were obviously a huge a source of support and help with this whole design. And they use a platform, it's called WordPress, which was the website design program used. It's very user-friendly. It's the industry gold standard nowadays. And it's much easier to navigate and get around.
And then much easier, too,
Oh, yeah, and you can use it on your mobile
use it on our
devices, which
mobile, so-
our previous website design you could not. So, yeah, you'll be able to use it on your phone, which a growing percentage of our users do, so.
That's one thing I was going to mention. Now we can use it on our smartphones.
Yes,
Which
yeah.
I think most people do nowadays
Yeah.
to access websites, certainly a significant portion anyway. So again, congratulations. I know you've worked on this a lot, all the other people.
Yeah.
This is long overdue. We've been behind the curve, and I'd like to make the point that it's, the county's website is the first point of contact for many, many businesses, agencies, outsiders, retailers, et cetera. And so we need to have a state-of-the-art, easy-to-use website, and I think we do now. So that's great, because that's how we get graded by a lot of people and
Yep.
businesses, is our
Agreed.
website. So, right up front. So congratulations. I know that
Thank
you've
you.
been working on this a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else? No? Commissioner Lewis?
Yes, we had several July 4th parades in Delaware County, and it really struck me. I was at the Orange Parade, and just an awful lot of people there, and an awful lot of preparation that we don't see. I was in the parade, just walking along with other people, but you see all the floats, and then you see the bands that practice, and you see just, so many different organizations. I saw 911 out there, and actually I saw Pat from 911 out there, and he was actually with I believe it was a Boy Scout troop, and so all the community organizations that we have, and again, all the people who organize these parades, and then we just show up and we march in them or whatever. But it struck me too, I'd like to thank them, but just the importance of people turning out to participate in these parades, especially in this time of some turmoil in our nation and controversy, and to go back to our roots and really celebrate our freedom, how important that is. So that's all.
Didn't really have anything else?
And nor do I. So with that, I believe we have need for executive session.
We do. Resolution number 18-766, in the matter of adjourning into executive session for consideration of employment and compensation of a public official or public employee and for collective bargaining.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made in second. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-766. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye. With that, we are now in executive session.
Resolution number 18-767, in the matter of adjourning out of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made in second. Discussion. Vote.
Vote on motion 18-767. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
If there's no other business to bring before us, we are